and now we're going to hear from the Court of Appeals candidates. And the main thing is the Court of Appeals protects the rule of law. And we're going to let them talk about what they do. And it's, one thing I read was that after a trial is over, parties can ask the Court of Appeals to review the case and decide whether the trial judge made legal errors, and that's what they were talking about, and that affected the case's outcome. Rather than trying the case again, however, appellate courts focus on the law, and decide such matters as interpreting statutes, constructing contracts, and it goes on. So we'll let them talk about that. And it looks like the first person up is going to be our friend David Evans. And just a quick bit about him. He was Justice of the Fifth Court of Appeals from 2013 to 2018. And then Dallas County did their thing and kicked all 8 of our candidates, Republican candidates, off and brought all liberals on the Court of Appeals. And so we can't have that happen again. So that's why we have to get out and vote and take 3 people with you, at least. And now, then he was appointed by Governor Greg Abbott in November of 2019 back onto the 5th District Court of Appeals. And of course, he's been a district judge a couple of times. And let's see, anything else? He is got his degree from SMU, let's see, community involvement. He's very involved in county juvenile boards and is a member of the, presided over Saturday adoptions on Dallas Adoption Day. And personal, this is something that I thought was unique, is that when the Chief Justice, Carolyn Wright, needed a kidney to survive, she was the Chief Justice, David donated one of his kidneys to her.
And Tarrant, today is the 1-year anniversary.
Today's the anniversary.
Oh, wow. That is so nice. And so he advocates for living organ donations. And he is a father of 2 adult children. He's an enthusiastic hunter, hiker, and cook. Okay, let's welcome David.
Thank you all very much, and thank you for your patience. I'm Justice David Evans, and so let me tell you how we're going to do this. Justice David Evans, Justice John Browning, Justice Bill Whitehill in the back. So what we're going to do is we're each going to tell something about ourselves, and then what I'm going to explain is a little bit about what is this Court of Appeals, because it's very hard for everybody to understand what it is, where we are. And if you hadn't seen that film about President Trump's appointments of federal judges, that's not us, it's federal, and how they had to explain that there exists federal courts of appeals. Nobody knows about the courts of appeals. So my job is tell you about myself, then a little bit of information about courts of appeals. Justice John Browning is going to talk a little bit about himself, and then he's going to talk about basically what happened in the 2018 election and why it's important. Justice Bill Whitehill is going to talk about himself, and then he's going to talk about, I would call it, motivational legal issues that you should care about as to why you should be involved in voting in this. Okay, Justice David Evans, Justice John Browning, Justice Bill Whitehill. I'm David Evans, and as we just said, this is an important day. It's the 1st anniversary, and I'm still alive. I wasn't so sure about it for a while. When, you know, as I said to Carolyn, who received my kidney, I said, there's a reason that 65 is the top age limit, because it just knocks the socks out of you, doing that. So it's taken about a year to recover it, and I have recovered, and I'm doing well. And as you know, there's a very important anniversary tomorrow, 9/11, and I had an important anniversary last month. It was my 44th wedding anniversary last month. Same one woman for 44 years. Okay? You got to say that these days. So that says a lot. And then the other thing that kind of in bio that you might care about is I went to Dallas Theological Seminary. That's in fact what brought me down to Texas in 1977. And then I discovered hunting. Yes! I am an avid hunter. I'm on 2 deer leases, not 1, you know. And I really, really enjoy hunting and hiking. So that's a little bit about me. And then after I went to seminary, I went to SMU Law School. I was editor-in-chief of the Law Review, and then worked at a big firm, and then was a trial judge in different courts, and was blessed to be on the Court of Appeals. We had the wipeout in 2018, and I thought that was all over, and then I got a call from the governor's office, first about a district court, and then about the Court of Appeals. So now we are in a major issue down there in the Court of Appeals. There's 5 of us Republicans. There's 4 of us that are writing a lot of dissents, and we are writing, we and Houston 14th, we are in this kind of a race for who writes more dissents. And so a majority opinion is when the majority says, this is how they're going to decide a case. The dissent is when you say, you are wrong, that's wrong. And the reason you write a dissent is you're hoping the Texas Supreme Court or the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, you know, we have 2 Supreme Courts in Texas, right, everybody? Yeah. Texas Supreme Court Civil, Texas Court of Criminal Appeals Criminal, and we're hoping to get their attention by pointing out this is what's wrong about this opinion right here, okay? So that's what a dissent is, all right? That's the short version of that. All right, so what is a court of appeals? Well, I mean, who are these guys? I mean, where did we come from? I had several people ask me, so where do you live? You live in Gracie? You live in Denison? No, I live down in Cedar Hill. What? You live in Cedar Hill? Yes, this is a big district, everybody. Collin, Dallas, Grayson, Hunt, Rockwall, Kaufman County, about 4 million people in this county, in our district. We are the largest court of appeals in Texas. Okay, there's 13 of us on this court. There's 14 different courts of appeals. We are larger than either of the Houston courts of appeals. And there's only 1 court in that does touch Texas, the U.S. 5th Circuit. It's got like 25 judges. And there's 1 other Court of Appeals, Federal Court of Appeals, that also is very large in number of judges. So we are really actually about the 3rd or 4th or 5th largest court in the country, state or federal. We are really, really a big court. And we have a lot of work, all right? The state of Texas has, so COVID-19 has taught everybody a lot. Your trial judges are the main courts that have contact with people. And when COVID-19 came and they started figuring out no jury trials and what's happening, all of a sudden everybody realized the courts in Texas have the greatest amount of contact with people of any part of the government. About 346,000 people a day had contact with trial courts in Texas before COVID-19. So there's a tremendous deprivation of serving everybody during this COVID time period, okay? So we have a lot of work that's piling up like this tsunami wave whenever we get out of this COVID-19 and we can get back to jury trials and those things. So what happens when the trial courts finish a trial? City trial and justice of the peace trial, those appeals go to the statutory county courts, okay? But then appeals from the statutory county courts and your district courts, they come to us from all 6 of those counties, Dallas, Collin, Grayson, Hunt, Rockwall, Kaufman. So we get all the appeals of family, civil, criminal, everything comes to us. We are general jurisdiction. We get it all. There's only 2 things that don't come to us. A commercial lockout that a JP handles and it goes nowhere. Commercial lockout and a death penalty case where it's sentenced to death. We get the capital case appeal, the appeals from capital murder cases, convictions, when they get sentenced to life. If sentenced to death, those go straight to the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. Other than that, we are this funnel that gets all of the appeals from all of the trial courts. What do we do? What's the difference between us and a trial court? Almost nobody can have a hard time. A lot of times we get asked, and we smile, we love you all very much, but we get, so you're like a justice of the peace? No, we're not. So what happens, okay, your trial judges, justice of the peace, municipal court, your statutory county courts, the county courts of law, your district judges, those are your courts of general jurisdiction that try cases. And when they try cases, they are the lawyers and the parties are bringing the facts in. I think of it as like a wheelbarrow. They're bringing the facts in like a wheelbarrow, and they're like dumping it in court for the jury or the judge. Here's what my case is about, and the jury or the judge is deciding. I am deciding, because you got people who lie. Hello, and so I mean, the fact that there is evidence doesn't mean it's believable or that the fact finder believed it. So whether it's the judge or the jury, somebody decides, I'm deciding these are the facts. And then that record, as taken down by a court reporter, and the file that your district clerk is keeping, now electronically, then somebody who doesn't like that decision, and let me tell you, a lot of people don't like the decisions of trial courts and of our court. It's just the way it works. 90% of the people who leave a courtroom don't like the result. Even the winners wanted to win more than they won. Okay, that's just how it works. And we're never doing better than 50% because there's always a loser if you're in court, right? So we're batting at 50% or greater unhappiness. And so what the people who are unhappy with your district judges does not mean they did anything wrong, but then that is appealed. They appeal their case to us. What do we get? We do not take evidence. There's no witness stand. There's no jury. There's no court reporter. We do not have the power that your district judges and your county judges have to find facts. We do not find facts. The facts are in the record and in the judgment, and what we decide are the lawyers or parties without a lawyer, they write what are called briefs, and they aren't very brief. That's the biggest joke, right? Lawyers, So they're long arguments about what is the appellant is going to say what is wrong with what the district judge or the county court law judge did. The appellee, who won, is going to say, no, it's right, and they're going to say all these reasons why, and everybody's arguing over what's in the transcript of testimony and evidence, and things that were filed, pleadings and discovery, things, motions and orders that are in the clerk's file. So they're arguing about what's in a file. What we do is, like I always say, it's like a library before final exams in law school. It is a humming, intense, tense, quiet place. We are readers, we are researchers, we have lawyers that help us, we have an enormous amount of work. Each one of us on the Court of Appeals authors as many opinions as the entire 9 justices on the Texas Supreme Court. And we author more than the 9 justices on the U.S. Supreme Court, not more opinions. Each one of us. So we're already doing more than 13 times the volume of the higher courts, and then there's 14 courts of appeals. So it's an immense amount of work that's getting done, all right? And what we are supposed to do is to learn and know what the Supreme Court of Texas, the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, our criminal Supreme Court, and what the U.S. Supreme Court say, and the statutes and the constitutions, and we are supposed to review what the trial courts did and make sure it complied with statutes, with constitutions, and with the precedent as interpreted by the higher courts. That is our job. So they're trying to do it in the first instance. They're kind of like the soldiers in the trenches. We're kind of like, I don't know what, the lieutenants or something, or the captains or whatever, trying to make sure it's all done right. And the generals for Texas are down in Austin who are making sure that we're doing it right. All right? So that's how this works. So we are the neglected, forgotten, you don't know about us court. All right? And we are really important, and the way we're going to show up on the ballot, just like we are in the middle of that, in the federal courts, we're in the state courts, we are in the middle, and we're going to be in the middle of your ballot. So we're lost in the middle. You're going to have president, you're going to have Cornyn, U.S. senator, you're going to have state senators, you're going to have state rep, U.S. reps are going to be up there too, and then ahead of us are the state reps, and then you come to us. So you're already halfway through the ballot, and you're like, who are all these people? And who are these guys, And you got to keep going, because your district judges and your constables and your sheriff, and you're trying to get down to them. Don't forget us, please. People skip us all the time, and then we lose. Here's how I won't step into John. I've almost stepped into John's area. Thank you all very much. Justice David Evans, and remember our names. I'm going to say them again. Justice David Evans, Justice John Browning, Justice Bill Whitehill. We need you. Thank you very much.